Well, I guess when I had all these top scientists and EPA scientists on the last decade covering that sodium fluoride at 1 part per million was doubling bone cancer, causing dental fluorosis, causing IQ reduction, I mean, I guess I was a conspiracy theorist because I had the real medical literature. Here's the Associated Press posted on MSNBC last week. Too much fluoride in water, government says. High levels causing spots on teeth. Recommended limit to be lowered. We have an entire hour-long Dr. Paul Conant interview that goes much deeper into what it's doing to the pineal gland, the thyroid, the cancer statistics. I mean, these are facts you better not ignore. And all these years we were called conspiracy theorists, but now, because the alternative media is so powerful, they can't hide these facts anymore. So am I a dangerous conspiracy theorist for covering that? You go back just a few years ago, maybe 1 out of 10 Americans knew the Federal Reserve was private. Now in major polls, it's over 80%, and people know that it's a private banking cartel. They're demonizing Ron Paul and myself on different television programs for talking about the Federal Reserve now.
The idea that the Federal Reserve was created as part of a vast conspiracy is not just embedded in the minds of people who are disturbed, but it's widely shared on Alex Jones' website and by Ron Paul.
Implying that we caused this guy to do what he did because he mumbled something about currencies in all of his thousands of different diatribes. I mean, this was an incredibly disturbed, bad person, and that's all the more reason we need our Second Amendment to protect ourselves. Mexico has a total gun ban for all of its citizens for almost 100 years, and they have the highest crime rate in the world. It's the most dangerous to be a public servant there. That's not denied. Between 28,000 and 30,000 people have been killed down there in the last 2 years alone. They have a total gun ban, and they have restrictions on free speech down there. The answer is more guns, less crime. And I have firearms to protect myself, but you're thousands of times more likely to be killed in an automobile accident than to be killed by a gun. You're even more likely to be killed by a lightning strike than by a gun. Look at the statistics and ask yourself why the media is hyping this so much and really brazenly calling for restrictions, not just on the Second Amendment, but on how much ammunition you can have and on free speech. Let's not let this deranged lunatic monster and others that are sure to come along in the future in a nation of 300 million people, let's not let him be used to put further nails in the coffin of liberty in this country. But in the final analysis, the good news is the tide has turned. More Americans are waking up to the fact that the Second Amendment is all about dignity and self-defense, and that the first gun laws were against African Americans in this country. More Americans are waking up to that there is an agenda to disarm the people. And more Americans are waking up that there is an agenda to have Internet ID tracking and Internet taxation and restrictions on free speech and all these FCC calls for it. And there's calls for the Fairness Doctrine to be brought back to have government control of broadcasting. Look, you can't put the genie back in the bottle. The people have tasted real liberty. They've tasted true diversity. And even this congresswoman was pro-gun, pro-border control. There's a lot of evidence that that's why this lunatic went after her. I mean, if you've got to weigh all his political gibberings and ramblings, you've got to say he was more, quote, liberal than he would be conservative. I mean, he thought he was a woman, loved the Communist Manifesto, was engaged. His friends called him super liberal. But you can't blame liberals for this guy. And you can't blame, the governor of West Virginia for it. And you can't blame Sarah Palin or Alex Jones, as the media is doing right now. You've got to blame this individual. But I don't even know if he should be executed. I mean, watching him, if he's not mind control, I don't know who is. And that's another issue. He was obsessed with mind control. And he's got the classic MO of that. And we know that Theodore Kaczynski was in a CIA mind control program, the Unabomber. And now this guy wants Kaczynski's lawyer. We know so many others were. But whether he was organically a real Fruit Loop or artificially turned into one, let's not let this guy be used to destroy our republic. Liberty's on the march, tyranny is on the run, and the days of New World Order oppression are drawing to a close. That's why they want to accelerate a violent confrontation to short-circuit our peaceful restoration of the republic, because as Victor Hugo said, no army can stop an idea whose time has come. I'm Alex Jones, reporting from the front lines of the info war.
So you wonder why they choose to go after the First Amendment and the Second. What tyranny are they getting us in store for? Where you can't say anything about your government. Now, we were, once again, if you remember the Founding Fathers, this constitutional republic was created by people who said tyranny is bad. Read your Bill of Rights. Read your Constitution. Understand what they gave you, the gift. So here we go. This one really got me. This was, you remember the little girl. This is her father. And I want you to listen to what he says. He's smart enough to realize that this, anyway, I don't want to speak for him. Here's him being interviewed.
John, how do you explain something like this to your little boy?
Well, you know, we haven't started doing that. My son's interested in hunting and in guns in general. He's got Nerf guns and things like that. The only thing I did say is that, you know, that you see what happens when you try to solve problems with guns. You can't solve problems with guns. There's always going to be more problems. You know, this is such a random act. I don't want to raise alarm to such a rare thing to happen in Tucson, Arizona, which is a wonderful city, and the northwest side is a wonderful community. But it just shows that it can happen anywhere, and I think Christina, you know, she was born on 9/11, the day the towers came down in New York City, and he left us on this tragic day. But everything in the middle was beautiful. We had nine beautiful years with her. I know she wouldn't want things to change. Would not want restrictions. I saw what happened to our lives, specifically because I travel quite a bit. After 9/11, travel became a nightmare. We don't need any more restrictions on our society. I mean, I just think we got the friends and family that we have surrounded ourselves with in this tragedy. If maybe that fellow who was shooting everybody, if he had some friends and family around him, you know, prior to this, maybe this wouldn't happen.
Do you think, I mean, is that one of the lessons we can take away from this, John? I mean, I know when you lose a loved one, when the country sees a tragedy like this happen, we want to take some sort of a lesson away from it. You know, some have made it political, some have talked about the mental health system. What is your takeaway on it?
Yeah, you know, I think there's always going to be random acts, but I think Christina, our family generally believes that there's a lot of good people out there, and that's what we're going to take away from this. After we've seen the outpouring of sentiment from all our friends, our family, people that we don't even know. No, we don't wish this on anybody, and I'm sure they didn't wish it on us. If we live in a country like the United States, where we are more free than anywhere else, we are subject to things like this happening, and I think that's the price we have to pay.
So here he is saying we've already lost so much of our rights and our freedoms in this country. Don't use my daughter's death to take more. Something you didn't see on the news all the time, but I want to bring you. Last piece for you. Here's a little piece from the January 13th show. I just thought the clip was good for you because you get to understand a little better. Here he is, Alex Jones.
And whether this was a staged mind control shooting, which the evidence all points toward, and which we know that there are government programs to carry out, or whether he was just a drugged-out, paranoid schizophrenic who they went to his house at least 3 times. There's sealed Sheriff's Department reports about him. Turns out they knew all about the death threats and did nothing. So instead of blaming themselves for not doing their duty, they're blaming the general public. They're blaming free speech. They're blaming the Second Amendment, the right to keep and bear arms. So they're blaming everything that makes this country so special. They're blaming the First and Second Amendment. That's what they're going after in this equation. And we see this over and over and over again, that every chance the establishment gets, every time they get any type of opportunity, the system comes after our liberties. And so there was a dual message within the overall message of, by coming together, we strive. By unifying, we strive. Together, we have prosperity. That's the message. That's the slogan. In fact, I'll put the image of the T-shirts that were draped over every chair, 14,000 T-shirts draped over for those that attended to put on their uniform of togetherness. But that means togetherness under the banner of the establishment. Together we thrive. Together we strive. These are the things that they said in the speeches. It was all choreographed, all scripted. Together we thrive. Bringing America together. And then what was said in the speech? We can do better. We can be better. We're bad. We've done something wrong. We need to repent. And any good lie, any good beguiling or seduction has elements of truth in it. Everybody deep down knows we should repent as a nation for the illegal wars, the torture, the abortion, the corruption, the laziness of the public, the corruption of the government. Everybody deep down knows we're going in the wrong direction and need to get our act cleaned up. But when they come out and say, together we thrive, they're saying, come together, unify under the Barack Hussein Obama agenda, and that then we will have prosperity. If we turn off our thinking caps, if we all put on the same uniform, if we all cry while Obama speaks, and then cheer when the head of the university gets up there, like it's a rock concert or a football game, then we won't have to be scared anymore. Then our economy will come back. Then everything will be okay if we just let the Goldman Sachs, J.P. Morgan Chase administration that runs the leadership of both political parties and has an iron grip like no administration ever before on this current White House. They're telling us that if you just vote for hope and change, you won't have to pay your car payment. You won't have to pay for health care. You're going to get a job. We're 2 years into it. Did you get any of that? No, things got worse on every front, but they gave you fake government statistics like something out of the old Soviet Union, out of Pravda, to tell you that everything was fine, to tell you there was something wrong with you if you didn't like the state of the economy, the state of liberty and freedom in this country. If you don't like NAFTA and GATT that Al Gore told you was going to be a great deal on Larry King Live in 1994. If you don't buy his new lies about paying him carbon taxes so he can buy more $15 million homes on the beach that he says is going to be underwater in 3 years. If you don't totally give in to them, if you don't totally submit to everything they push, well, then you're not part of the togetherness where we can strive to work together, doing what we're told so that together we will thrive. Together we thrive. I thought America was about individualistically, through liberty and through the power of true choice and real diversity, that we thrive. And that when we choose to work with others and be with others and agree with others, that's our choice. But they're saying, no, together we thrive by doing what we're told and not getting angry and not criticizing the death panels and not criticizing abortion and not criticizing torture and not criticizing 9-plus-year-old illegal wars and not criticizing the trillions missing from the Pentagon and not criticizing the Federal Reserve and the tens of trillions that are missing. Bloomberg reports over 28 trillion, and we haven't gotten a new number in over a year. 1 year in to the bailout of October 2008, it was 28 missing trillion. Now, a year plus forward, we just don't get numbers anymore.